welcome to session 14 of the Sigma training. My name is Kim Blake and this session is on importing. I'm going to show you a slide with the agenda and then I'll move into the live database. So in this session we'll cover the details around the importing data page, what it shows you. We'll look at importing a file, at the user options, so how you add, how you can download errors, etc. And then how you can schedule imports. So as usual, I've started off on my home page, which is the tree configuration, but I'm going to move to the data menu, down to data exchange and import data. Billing and metering data can be imported from here. So the files that you see in my grid will be a combination of both. As usual, you've got some search options, so you can search for a particular path, a period, a from and to date, all imports, so there are different states that the imports are in, so waiting, running, complete, complete with errors, failed, failed because the import file is empty, or complete with duplicates. There are three types of import category, dynamic being ones that we've imported, metadata or invoice data. And the import type will depend on what you've chosen in the import category. So there's various different import types. You can search for file name and you can search for auto import. So those that are being imported automatically. I'm just going to search for date range so I can show you some information. I'm just over typing the dates and then apply the search. So this is just a combination of different different imports that we've put in. You can see the page size is up to 20, or I can increase that to 50. And we would see all that were in there. So you have the date of the import, the path, if it's allocated to a path, the type of import, so that's what we see in this drop down here, the name of the import, the method of it being imported, and I'll explain this when I add a file, how many records are in the file, the number of duplicates, nulls and errors, how long the file took to complete, and the status. So again, the status that we see here. Let's scroll down to the bottom and add a file. And then we choose the import category to narrow down the import type menu. I'm going to choose dynamic because there's a particular one that we've put in here so that I can load a file for you. There's only one option in my list. Path isn't mandatory. And then I need the import file name. So this is the file I'm going to import. And then save. That's loaded in. If I just apply again, we can see it's still just waiting to be processed. If I change the date range back, you can see it's changed to running. If I apply, we can then see it's complete. Well, 97.93% is complete. So the option that's automatically chosen for that particular file is no data, and I'll come back to those options in a moment. But you can see here that it's a duplicate of a file that I've just imported, just as an example for you. Just want to do an add again. And this time I'm going to choose metadata. And I could choose then the import type from here, but just to give you some idea of those different statuses that we see. So no data, all data, automatically only, auto filled only. So no data, that doesn't replace existing data. All data overwrites all data with what it has in the file. Auto-filled only overrides data that's been auto-filled using one of the pages again in here. So if a file has come in previously, there are some gaps. You can auto-fill them with estimates. If you then get the actual data, you can come back in here and you might want to choose just to update those ones that have been auto-filled. If you're importing invoicing data, there are some different options on here. If I choose the Invoice Trader Comms file format, the options you have in here is duplicate, overwrite, and ignore. So as it says here, duplicates will import duplicate invoices as new invoices. If I choose overwrite, it'll import duplicate invoices to replace existing invoices, or ignore won't import the duplicate invoices. We'll look a little bit more about how this is filled in the EDI section. Just going to cancel from there. So the file that I've imported is said complete or 97% complete. If we scroll down to the bottom here, we can see I can view errors. And this is showing me what the errors are for that particular file. If I just close, where we've got one complete with duplicates, I can view the duplicates. And that will show me the meters, in this case, the timestamp, and the row that's duplicate. You can download any of the files, and that will just download the file for you, so you can interrogate the file if you need to. You can delete a row, so that will delete the row from here, but it won't delete the data. You'd have to go into the database to delete the data. If you've looked at some errors and you've fixed those errors, so maybe the meters or the accounts weren't in the database, you can then retry the file. So just find the file and retry. So the main thing is what you're searching for. So you can change that to suit your needs. It will default to today's date, but you can change that date range and you can look just for particular types of imports. Once you've got the imports in the list, depending on what's happened to that file, if it's 100% complete, we don't get the option to view duplicates or errors. With something that maybe isn't, you can then view errors. Or the one that's complete with duplicates, you can then view those duplicates. So this is importing a file manually. If you want to set up an auto import, back to the data menu and down to auto imports. Now I don't have any in the database at the moment, but if I add, these are the fields that would need to be completed, and we'll help you do that. So things like the email details, etc. will help you complete that. But you've got the same options here with how you want that data to go in. So if I just show you the help files, again, I've opened the help file on the data exchange menu and then importing data. So we've got some information here on the search options and how to import your file. Got some example files and how we deal with EDI files. They're slightly different, but they go in through the same channel. So that's back into Sigma, data, and import data. Thank you for listening, and I'll speak to you all soon.